Hello and a very warm welcome to the Sacred Womb podcast, where we talk about all things to do with befriending our menstrual cycle, deeply healing both our feminine and masculine aspects, and how we can indeed utilise our cyclical nature as a natural spiritual pathway that's encoded within our bodies. I'm your host, Melanie Swan, and you can also go to thesacredwomb.com for more information and loads of fantastic free resources. Hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Sacred Womb podcast. This is episode 32. I'm going to be giving you 9 guidelines to help process emotionally, spiritually, and of course the body follows that, process a miscarriage. So, a tentative subject, a painful subject, a sensitive subject, but really worth talking about. I did a live Q&A in the Sacred Womb private Facebook group in which I was asked this question about miscarriage, and the response has been it's really moved me. Some of you have emailed me, thank you for that. So I decided to make it a more public response and put it out on the podcast. So I hope this is so useful for you. I hope it provides some relief and helps you indeed process any miscarriages that you've had. So, just want a quick note, I do now do a live Q&A in the Sacred Womb private Facebook group every month. So if you want to get a question answered in that, send in your question by email or post in the group, and I'll put it on the list and I will answer it in due course. Also, if you want to hear something specific on this podcast, do email me and let me know and I will cover it. If I can't cover it, I'll find someone who can. So I also have Bethany Webster coming back to the podcast in August. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've got a few other people lined up for you, which I think you'll find really interesting. So thanks again for your listenership. Really appreciate it. Hello to everyone all around the world. All you women getting in touch with your menstrual cycle. How fabulous that we're all part of this amazing wave of awakening, that our menstrual cycle is our natural spiritual pathway encoded within our bodies. All right then, ladies, let's get to the podcast. And here we go for 9 guidelines to help process a miscarriage. So the first one is allow the grieving process to take place. There is no shoulds, have-tos, set format for how this takes place. This is your unique process, a very intimate process, and you might be getting messages from the outside that you are lucky it didn't go any further, or lucky it was a specific stage, or just funny messages coming in from the outside, which don't particularly help. So what I'm saying here is, this is your process. Allow it to happen in your own way and give yourself really that space to feel and let those emotions come up. A note on that is they probably will come in waves. Our psyche has a natural safety mechanism where it will only allow up what we can cope with at the time. So even though our feelings might feel very, very big and unbearable, they are present because we can cope with them. We do have the facility to cope with them. Unless we're taking, masses of drugs or alcohol, which kind of blows our safety switch sometimes. But yeah, if you're in a safe space and you're not taking those substances, the psyche safety switch will operate really, really well for us. I've seen it time and time again. So even though this grief may be unbearable, it may feel so big, you can cope with it. And if you allow it, it will come through and it will lessen over time. Okay, the second one is a little bit like the first, but to be with your feelings, be with yourself. Now, we can have a tendency to analyse and stay on our heads and rationalise things, which our cognitive function is all well and good and it has its place. However, when there's been a miscarriage, there are just feelings of grief and everything else that comes along with it. So I would encourage you, as a really intimate, solid, grounded healing process, is to sit with yourself. I don't mean actually sit all the time. You can sit, you can meditate, you can do what you want. But even if you're washing the dishes, be with yourself. Be with yourself. Try not to do like checkout activities like numb out on YouTube or eat loads, whatever your numbing out activity is or are. Try and just be with your feelings. That it'll make the process quicker in the end. We're not trying to rush it or speed it up or anything, but if we numb out our feelings or try and suppress them, they're just going to stay in the body and they will come out at some point anyway. So if we can be with them, it does really help to dissolve the charge. And by be with, I mean just feel them. Allow yourself to feel them, even though they might be just bloody awful. Just be with yourself. Which leads me on to my third point of trying not to expect people to get it, to truly understand. Unless you're talking to another woman who's experienced that, and her experience is going to be different anyway, that people probably aren't going to truly get it. So we've got to get ourselves, you've got to get yourself on this one, which is why it leads on from just being with your own feelings, just really feeling them and getting ourselves like, yeah, I get it. My God, this is awful. This has happened, but I can be with myself. So if we don't have the expectation that people are going to get it, it does kind of help temper that experience. So people are going to want to help. Maybe they want to fix it. Maybe they want to help take away the pain. It's not going to make any difference, to be honest. So this leads me on to my fourth point: ask for what you want and need. This might seem like something else on top of a big feeling that you're going through, a big process. But if you can ask for what you want, that really does help the people around, because generally people feel like they don't know what to say or don't know what to do or just don't know how to be around you. So if you can give a little guidance on that, that's very helpful for both the people around you, and you might just get what you need as well. So for example, you might just need to be held by your partner. Guys have been taught to really suppress their feelings and be the man and take care of everything. Now, your guy at this stage is probably going to be really suffering in a slightly different way than you, but it's still as valid. So to be able to give him guidance on what you need will be very welcomed. That might just mean hold me. That might mean just don't try and fix anything. Please don't try and make it any better. Just please just be with me. So that was my fourth point: ask for what you need. So I'll just go over those again, those first four. Allow the grieving process to take place. Be with your feelings, be with yourself. Try not to expect people to get it, to truly understand, and ask for what you want as much as you can. Okay, so number 5 is take time out. At least a week, and let yourself rest. The temptation might be to push on, to get on with things and to cope in that way. But the body's just gone through something pretty major. And on a physical level, you're going to need rest. And to be able to take time out from work when people might be asking you what might feel very benign, how's the stationery order coming? How is this coming along? Where's the project? It might mean absolutely nothing to you whilst you're going through the grieving process. So I really encourage you to take time out. Doctors can be quite understanding about this, so I encourage you to go and get time off and take care of yourself. which again leads me on to my next point, number 6, about getting pregnant again. It's important that you renew, let your body renew, and eat healthily and clean, whatever that means to you, and do some research on what's going to restore you after a miscarriage. A guy I can recommend, highly recommend actually, is amazing, is Anthony William, the medical medium. His link to his books is in the show notes, so I recommend you look into that. My 6th point is try not to rush to get pregnant again. You might be over whatever age you think is more likely to get you pregnant, and so you might be feeling a rush to get pregnant. Maybe you're in your 20s, but you feel this absolute pulse, you want children, and that's totally understandable. I get that. I felt it. However, it's really important to not rush to get pregnant again, as that will also be an action to sort of sublimate the feelings of grief. And it's ideal, my point 7 is, it's ideal to take at least 3 cycles rest from trying to get pregnant, because stuff is likely to come out for 3 months. Your menstrual cycle will bring up the emotions, and it will also flush out any stuff, any remains. You might want to get that checked out with your doctor or the hospital, but know that it does take a little while sometimes for sort of remains to come out. Okay, so let's just recap on those 3 points. I'm aware this is probably quite a lot to listen to. So rest, take time out, at least a week, go to your doctor, get time off work. Try not to rush to get pregnant again. You might be feeling a pulse. You might think you've only got a certain amount of ovaries left. Not ovaries, eggs. Sorry. You might think you've only got a certain amount of time to get pregnant, but the preparation is very, very important. The restoration of your body is very, very important before trying to get pregnant again. I've known women just have miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage because there's just no rejuvenation time. And of course, with each one, the body's getting weaker and weaker, and the will is getting weaker and weaker, and women tend to feel more and more like they've failed somehow. So I don't want that for you. If you want to get pregnant, please take your time to restore. And point 7 is that stuff may come out for around 3 cycles. So take your time. Just notice your menstrual cycle. It might be a little bit irregular, but just take note of it. All right, then, point 8 now is try and do some sort of ritual in your own style to honour yourself, honour the loss. And if you have a partner that's around and up for it, please try and include him. I really want to let you know that guys do suffer too when this happens. Okay, it's different, but it's not more or less. And if you can include him, I know that goes a long way. One idea for that is to bury the remains or a symbol to represent the loss. Burn it, write a letter, burn it, light a candle, do a prayer, something like that. Okay, so that leads me on to the last guideline, number 9, to re-energize the womb space once you've left it 3, 4, 5 cycles. Once you feel more rejuvenated, once you've rested, taken time out, done your ritual, it's time to re-energize the womb space, whether or not you want to get pregnant again. And there's an exercise that takes about 5 minutes, and I'd recommend you start really gently with this, just a couple of minutes every day, and see how you get on with it. But to re-energize the womb space will actually help you get pregnant again. One of the reasons we're struggling to get pregnant is that we're kind of evolving, really. So our energy is spent on our spiritual aspect, in our heart, in our expression, through all the different chakras, you could say. And also, for a long time as women, we've been cut off from our womb space, our menstrual cycle. And sometimes there's just not enough energy in there to hold a being that's trying to come through into this reality. A quick note on what I'm saying here, that does not give anyone any blame for a miscarriage. Very, very important that, that often comes with guilt and a question of why and what did I do? And whilst practically that can be quite helpful, like what am I doing? Am I taking care of myself? But to overthink that is not helpful. And when it goes into self-blame and self-deprecation, not helpful at all. So to sit with one's womb space every morning for just a couple of minutes, after 3 or 4 cycles have passed, or however long you feel are relevant, and to sit and re-energize that space, whether or not you're getting pregnant again. Okay, that's all the 9 points. I'll write those in the show notes so that you can look at them. I'll write them in the blog post that goes along with this so you can look at them. You can go to that blog post at thesacredwomb.com/episode 32. Well, I really hope you got something out of that. I hope it helps you process any miscarriages, and I hope it helps you to re-energize your womb space. And if you are trying to get pregnant, I wish you all the best for that. Do let me know your thoughts, your comments, your reflections about this podcast in the Sacred Womb private Facebook group. Again, link in the show notes. It's there for you to connect with other like wombied women. And it's a safe space. There are some lovely, lovely women in there sharing and supporting each other. So thank you for all those women in that group. All right then, that's me for today, and I will say goodbye for now. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast and that you got some useful tips out of it that can make a genuine difference in your daily life. And if you'd love to work deeper with this stuff, then do head on over to thesacredwomb.com, where you can sign up to receive the weekly newsletter and an invite to our private Facebook group, where you can share, learn and grow with like-minded women in a safe, supported space. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do leave us a rating, and your comments are very, very welcome. And I'll see you next time.